Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. It is cold in Ohio. It's like 20 something. It is mid January the 15th. It is definitely not riding season, not for me anyway. You can see a bit of dusting of snow outside. So, guess what parked motorcycle syndrome does to people? It tends to make them work on bikes or sometimes even picks them up. In fact, what I want to show you is a 2023 Beta Cross Trainer 300 and kind of what I've got into it and why I'm doing it the way that I'm doing it. And so here we go. So you already know that I have a 2013 Beta 350RR that I've been riding for the last 10 plus years. And it is a fabulous bike. I love the thing, but compared to a two-stroke, it is a little bit heavy. It's probably about 30 pounds or so overweight. It's got fantastic suspension, got the Sachs open cartridge, and great for faster runs. It also works pretty well for the tight stuff. I've done some family enduros with it, as well as some tougher single track. Nothing hard enduro-esque, but it has been a fantastic bike, and I'm going to continue to ride the crap out of that thing. However, I got a chance to ride my girlfriend's cross trainer this last summer, and I was very impressed. I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy it or not, so I gave it a try. And the reason why I got that for her is that it's a little bit lower seat, it's a bit lighter of a bike. It also has real smooth power application, but it's nice and grunty with that 302 stroke, and stuck a Clayt 1 light clutch on it and some other goodies in order to, the steg pegs, etc., in order to make it a better fit for her. And she's really enjoyed it. And I decided to take it out for a bit and really kind of rung it for a couple of days with some buddies. And I frankly quite enjoyed it. I enjoyed the lighter weight. I enjoyed being able to move it around more tight. But, I didn't want to also thrash her bike either. I dropped it off to the right-hand side and I significantly dented the stock pipe. I bought her a fatty pipe to replace it with and some other goodies that we're going to put on here over the next couple weeks. But I thought, well, there's probably no point in thrashing that bike, her bike. If I really want to go the two-stroke route, then let's go ahead and get one of my own. So I went ahead and shopped around, and Kissel Motorsports had this 2023. I got it all stock, and I've added a bunch of stuff to it. So I'm going to tick through the things that I've done to it. But the whole philosophy around this bike is to continue to keep the 350, continue keeping the cross trainer, keep the KTM for the long distance adventure riding stuff, but then to use this for tighter single track and to be a little bit more trialsy. Now, what you might be noticing absent in my garage is I sold the 2018 Gas TXT 280. It's a trials bike. Love that bike. I had it for many years, but I didn't use it very often. So I sold that to a buddy and I used those proceeds plus some add-on cash in order to get this from Kissel, and they were wonderful to work with. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through this bike and show you what I have done to it and why. That's the main thing. A lot of folks will give you a walk around on the parts on their Beta 3 Cross Trainer 300s or 250s, and they'll talk about the stuff they put on it, but they won't necessarily talk about the philosophy around what they put on and what they haven't. Keep in mind, I have not ridden this bike in anger in the woods yet. I plan to do that this spring, and so there may be additional modifications. In fact, there are a couple things that I'll mention here that I plan to do over the next few weeks. But anyway, let's walk through it. So from the front, let's just assume that everything we're talking about is add-on to stock, and if I miss anything, my apologies. So you'll see that the prior owner already had put an Acerbis front grabber on, and they had put these Beta branded, what are they? Are they the Polysports or the, I don't know what, the Pro Bend, Cyclo Pro Bend. So they've already got the hard guards on them, fantastic. I added the, what are these? The mirrors, the flip around mirrors. Oh gosh, what are they called? They are from Double Take. That's it. So I added one Double Take mirror on this thing because whenever I am leading a group, I like to see who's behind me. Actually, anytime anybody's riding behind you, you should be able to have a look at them just to keep an eye on them if you're in a group. So I added that, added my GPS mount. I added a Clayt 1 light clutch, of course, and I have a 3D printed, self-designed 2-finger clutch because my index finger is getting kind of wonky. And I also put ODI lock-on grips on the stock grips. I didn't like them so much. These are a little bit rounder and they're easier to get on and off as well. Did put on the lighting kit. So there's a Tusk lighting kit that you can buy. There is a harness that's built into these cross trainers that you can connect a relay that's right behind here and a couple lights that you drill into this plastic piece you wire up. And then there's a bit more work that you have to do on the back here for these lights. I can describe that in detail if you ask me in the comments, but basically I ran a wire up, around, and down, and they both go to a bundle kind of neural cluster that's right here that also feeds the rear tail light. So did that. The previous owner had already put on no, they hadn't. Actually, I did buy this. So I put on the Turbine Core 2 rear spark arrestor because there were many forests that require you to do that. It does arrest the spark inside of it so you don't start fires. I did put on a grabber handle on the back because even though these 2013s have this newly designed rear tail where you grab on the back of it that way instead of on these little handles, I love these handles better. So I needed to go ahead and add another, I don't know, $15, $20 part that bolts into the back here, and that allows you to grab the tail if you got to move it around that way. As you see, I have replaced the Seat Concept seat. This is the low version. So there's less of a pad than you have for the regular version of the cross trainer and for the RR series. However, with this bike, I do plan to get more into the tight stuff. And to do so, I want to be closer to the ground. And so already this bike is lower than an RR because of the way the suspension sets, but then this sets me just a bit lower in a real positive way. So what else do we have? We have the steg pegs. This allows me to stand up more and let my boots push in the back. I've got another video about some of the cheats that I've done with the Beta 350, and I've done those on here as well. So this allows me to stand, rest my boots back against the peg, and that allows me to relieve the stress on my hands and arms, and because my hands and arms are kind of a pressure point for me. Another thing that I've done is I have added the Polysport protector on both sides. Actually, previous owner had done it on this side, and I did another one on the other side. I've got the nice CNC pegs here for more grip. So this obviously is for protection of the side plate. This grip is much better. It also lowers the toe a little bit without having to do anything funky like removing the lock nut on the lever. And so this allows my boots to get a much better grip. It will tear my boots up a little bit more, but that to me is a fair trade for having more grip in the muck. The FMF fatty pipe is what I added to match with the spark arrestor on the back. And that supposedly gives you more low end grunt. And also in combination, I opened up the air cage in here. I don't have this open to be able to show you, but I believe the 2013s and maybe some 2023s and a few years prior, I believe, do ship with a more constricted airbox air filter cage. And so some people cut and drill them out, or they simply replace the cage with a Beta 300RR cage, which is what I did. I ordered that. I stuck on one of those funnel web pinecone style filters and put a bunch of good oil on the whole thing, and that was good. Speaking of getting in there, by the way, I did grease every single connection on this bike thoroughly. There isn't a single electrical connection on this bike that has not been dielectrically greased and greased heavily. So that's something that's highly recommended for all the betas because they have somewhat sensitive electrical systems, and especially if the ECU, there's one pin in the ECU, if that gets corroded, your oil injection system will fail, and that does really bad things to the engine. So did that. I've also zip tied the nipple that goes into the OI. There it is. You zip tie that thing so the OI is feeding it in. I have watched bubbles move in the line to confirm that that's running just fine. Oh, here's my Polysport connector on the other side, or protector, and the Enduro Engineering clutch slave protector, which has a bar over here that further protects this from a chain if it were to come off and damage this. So if you're out in the woods and you throw a chain for some reason, maybe you catch up on some major log or whatever, or the chain breaks from too much torque, etc., or wear. If that breaks, that could, run over here and destroy the clutch slave, and that leaves you stuck in the woods because you're probably dumping a bunch of oil and just having a bad day. So having this is a pretty cheap insurance against that. You notice that I do have a couple of aftermarket, these might be nice CNC adjusters for the idle as well as the air screw. I put those on to make it easier to adjust these out in the woods, because especially right now with the new intake, the open intake, the new resonator and the new spark arrestor, I'll need to make some adjustments to the mixture. I've also done some jetting on the carb. Right now I believe I'm at a 35 Pilot, an NECJ Suzuki style needle on the second clip position. I'm also running a 165 main. What am I missing? I think that's all the features on there, and the stock 7.5 slide. That appears to be about right, about what I want, but I'm going to wait until the weather gets warmer to dial that in. I've also done some compression testing, and I've replaced the spark plug with a brand new one just as a known quantity. What else? I have not changed or removed the spacer in here. I want to leave this nice low and luggy, the way a cross trainer is designed to be. I've already talked about the seat. I did put an XC Gear Mako 360 on the handlebars. You can't really see it here, but you've seen it on my other bikes. It has a set of rubbers, polymers, around the bars that absorb some of the vibration. And with the two-stroke, there is vibration, and most people can handle that just fine. But I do find that having that dampened gives my arms less fatigue over the course of a day. I did not put a Scott steering stabilizer on this bike. I don't think I'm going to need to, because the intent of this bike is to be in tighter stuff where I'm not really moving fast and don't need to protect from the deflections. But if I need to, I can add an underbar mount that I can stick that Scott's stabilizer on, and we'll just find out. So before I spend the $500 and something on that stabilizer and another 120 or whatever for that mount, let's go ride the thing first. I replaced all of the fluids throughout, including the coolant. I have not changed the suspension yet. So what I'm going to do is I've got a spring that's one higher rate coming for the shock. I got to wait for back orders to clear in order to get the spring for the front. And that'll do me good for those two. I'm a heavy boy. I'm like 200 pounds with gear. And Beta says that it exceeds the stock rate. And I believe it. My SAG actually is telling me that I do need to go up one spring rate. So I plan on doing that here in the next month. Anything else that I've got on here that I can remember? Oh, these radiator guards. So these are I think there's a X Gear, is that the name of it? These are Beta's rebranded version of that. They are very stout and milled aluminum. They're wonderful. However, they are branded as incompatible with the performance pipes. I think certainly both the fatty, but maybe also the gnarly pipe. These rise up high enough that this, you can see here this little dissension part, this will block this. And so what I did is I took a grinder's cutting wheel and I cut that off, and I used a flap disc in order to sand that nice and smooth. I'm not cutting my fingers. Put a little bit of red marker on there as well in order to smooth that out, because I really like these guards. They have tons of protection for the radiator, but it did require that modification to lop that bottom off. So if you find yourself in the situation, know that it is possible to do. It works out just great. A couple other things I wanted to mention, I think, are, I did reverse engineer you can buy this from Beta. This is a wonderful tool. It's about $115 or whatever. This fits to remove the cap of your 43 millimeter forks. It's a 46 millimeter socket on the top. This does that, and also it can be used to remove the spring cap in the fork, which I plan to do. I'd mentioned that I'm going to do the springs. However, if you only need to change the oil, I went ahead and fashioned a 3D printed wrench that only costs a few dollars to print. And I've got that up on Thingiverse, Printables. So I will share that link so you can go ahead and print one on your own. I have also made a copy. I don't have it here, I don't think. No, I don't. I did make a copy of the chain adjuster. There is a Beta chain adjuster that's a piece of probably Delrin that fits in here, and you can tighten or loosen your chain in order to make it fit right. It's a wonderful part. It's less than $20.
go get one. But I also reverse engineered it for a backup. You can 3D print that thing in ASA or PCTG or PTG or whatever and have that around in the garage as a backup. So those are a couple things that I wanted to mention. I believe that is it. The tires are going to be changed. I've got a Shinko 505 waiting for the back. I've got a 546 waiting on the front. I will put tubeless in each one of the two because I love that low pressure grip that you get. It's darn near magical. And for a bike that's going to be intended to go more in the dicier stuff, that I'm really looking forward to that. What else? Like I said, I've got the front spring and the back spring. Well, the back spring's coming. I got to wait for the front to be ordered. There is a rear protector, this shark fin that previous owner put on by Enduro Engineering. And I have been looking for one on the front like I put on for my Beta 350. And I think I finally found one that Beta sells, but it is back ordered. So I'm waiting for that to come in to put that on the front just to protect those parts so that they're not scraping against everything if you bump them up against a bunch of rocks when you're out riding. I think that is everything that I can think of. Again, the intention is to run this thing in tighter stuff and kind of exercise my body. I'm sure I'm going to have to really work into that. But after riding my girlfriend's Beta cross trainer 2018, I really wanted to get one for my own and not beat the crap out of hers as a complement to the 350. And that's really what the design philosophy is around this. So you will hopefully get to see some videos of me playing around with this in the woods here this spring. But I wanted to share that in the meanwhile. And so that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed this. And if you've got a Beta cross trainer, you know how cool these things are. If you don't, have a look at, his name is Aaron Enduro. Aaron's Enduros. I'll have a link in the comments. He is amazing. He puts these cross trainers like stock and darn near stock through incredible hard enduro conditions. And there's a bunch of other folks that do some amazing things with these bikes. So don't sleep on them, even though they have trainer in the name. They're not training bikes at all. They should have been called enduros or something like that, or hard enduro, or I don't know, but that would have put off the beginner crowd as well. The nice thing is that they are suspended soft and they're meant for being able to loft it around in the slower pace, tighter kind of woods. They're also 7/8 proportion frame, and so they have a tighter turning ratio. They're lower to the ground. They're light, 230 pounds or less, I think, fully wet. And so that's what the design philosophy is around that, is to both make it easier for beginners to get into, but also for folks that are, into hard enduro, or in my case, I'm kind of in between. I'm a intermediate senior level rider that just wants to go out and have fun, but also wants to be challenged a bit. So having something that I don't have to pick up over and over again that's super heavy is really appealing to me. So anyway, hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the spring.